Hi guys, welcome back to AFTV and welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show, which is back and it's permanently back. And we've got Graham back. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. Nice to see you again. Really been looking forward to this, James, working with you this season on the Tactical Insight Show. When Robbie sort of contacted me and asked me if I'd be willing to work with you on the Tactical Insight Show this season, I jumped at the chance. I did have other offers.
Oh, you did?
I did have an offer from Roma TV.
Oh, bloody hell.
But they didn't meet the Don's valuation, so I'm back again, and looking forward to working with you on the Tactical Insight Show. By the way,
I love it.
You've been away in Italy. Talking about Roma, you've been away in Italy.
I have.
Are they still basking in the Euros?
Do you know what? They are actually. They're enjoying it. Italy have had a good summer. You know, the 100 metres at the Olympics and Eurovision and the Euro. Yeah, they've had a good time. So no, the family are all in good spirits. Thanks for asking. But yeah, although they are Inter Milan fans, and they're not having such
They're
a good
not happy,
time.
are they?
No, they just won the title, but it looks like it's come at a big cost. So yeah, but they're all good. But we are back, guys, to talk about Arsenal. We're going to talk a little bit about Arsenal, what we saw in that Spurs game, pre-season in general, looking ahead to the new season. We're going to touch on Brentford as well, and I know Tactical Insight, we don't normally preview games, but with it, you know, being such a crucial season for Arsenal, a really interesting first game with it being Brentford, newly promoted side, first time in the top division for God knows how long. It's going to be, I think this is going to be a really fascinating test for Arsenal, for Arteta. Let's go into it, and I think the best place to start is pre-season results. We've been talking off camera a lot.
Yeah, I think my overriding feeling, James, pre-season is very much same old Arsenal. Right. And I think best summed up by the game against Tottenham yesterday. Dominant in advanced positions, but unable to create anything, and still making silly errors at the back. I think that has been pretty much the story of pre-season. I think playing Chelsea and Spurs in 2 games pre-season has come at a cost, a massive cost, in Thomas Partey's injury, which I questioned why we were playing 2 big teams in friendlies right prior to the season. So that's been the major cost. But when I watch Arsenal, my overriding feeling is you know, the same old problems remain, and Arteta has got a lot to address this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just realised that I put that Rangers was a 2-2 defeat, so my bad, it was a draw. There we go, good start to the
2-2 loss.
Good start to the new season.
Only Arsenal could have a 2-2 loss.
Only Arsenal. Do you know what? I'm just so used to seeing us lose right now that I just see any result and I just chuck an L next to it. But look, I'm with you. The Spurs game had moments of encouragement that ultimately mean nothing when we're losing games. I felt that way about the Chelsea game at home, actually, that we at times looked good going forward, and there's nice passing patterns, you can see a shape, you can see we look well coached in possession, and then a ball over the top or a mistake at the back or a lack of maybe instinct or something in the final third is just basically costing us results. What were kind of your 2 main concerns from that Spurs game?
I think my main worry is Aubameyang. Look, we did the end of season review last year, and we talked about the first half of the season when he played like a front 3 of Willian, Lacazette and Aubameyang, and that did not work. I know he had the 3 number 6s before we moved Smith Rowe into the number 10 in midfield, but I just don't think Aubameyang and Lacazette works. And I think looking at it yesterday, you had Lacazette coming very deep all the time, and then you got Aubameyang trying to stretch the pitch. I think the way Arteta plays them doesn't suit the style of the way they play, James. I think last year the key to the turnaround results was that Smith Rowe coming in and playing at 10, but playing one of Lacazette or Aubameyang. And I think, if anything, Arteta's not learnt his lesson from last season, that these 2 players do not work together in this sort of shape. And they're obviously, the way he coaches them, obsessed with detail, and they're not being instinctive. Aubameyang really, or Lacazette, should be playing at number 9. Now, their most prolific season for Arsenal was 2018-19.
Yes.
And that is when Emery played him as a 2, a front 2, in a sort of like a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2 sort of thing. So you have to get them closer together. They're not close together at the moment. You've got Aubameyang out wide, trying to stretch the pitch. You've got Lacazette coming deep, and they're not together, so they're not in the box together. You've got Aubameyang crossing into the box. So I think he's got a decision to make here, decision to make. Who's he going to play? I think we have to sort of like think about how we're going to play as an attacking unit. If he wants to play sort of like a possession-based sort of style of play, build up with hold-up play, that for me is Lacazette. And Lacazette plays better with Smith Rowe at number 10. If he wants to play in transition, a counter-attack or in transition, winning the ball higher up and trying to play forwards in quickly, Aubameyang's your man. And he would benefit from an Odegaard or a Maddison at number 10. So he's got a decision to make there. But my overriding feeling watching that yesterday was I don't think he can play Lacazette and Aubameyang in a front three, and the only way to do it is to play him in a front two, and then he's got to change the system to a 4-4-2. I don't think he's going to do that. It doesn't suit the way he wants to play. So for me, at the moment, Aubameyang doesn't get into my team.
Wow. Well, we're going to go into what your team is at the end of the show, because I think that's going to be fascinating. It is interesting. I'm willing to give Arteta slightly the benefit of the doubt, because maybe with Martinelli away, Saka only just coming back, true. I can maybe, the lack of an Odegaard, so Smith Rowe's not playing on the left, I can maybe make excuses from there. But I feel like I'm always making excuses for this manager. And the reality is, you made a great point off air, Nelson could have played.
Yeah, Nelson
and I know Nelson doesn't maybe... People can say, well, no, he's not really been part of the first team setup for a while, and I understand that. But I think it's more about getting players in the right positions at least.
Exactly right. He made a comment at his press conference yesterday, which was a bit worrying, because we want people to come in. We need players. He said, I'm focused on working with what I've got. Well, if you are focused in working what you've got, put them in the correct bloody positions. That's the first thing I say. Aubameyang, he must know that Aubameyang does not work out wide. He saw it last season. But if you're going to play Aubameyang, play him as centre forward. Or play Lacazette as centre forward. One of them. It worked last year when, after Christmas, our results improved when he played one of those two strikers. He wasn't playing them both last year on that run of form. And I just think he needs to make his mind up how he wants to play. I think the early signs in the pre-season was when Partey was playing higher up, trying to win the ball higher up to play in our forwards from broken play. And I thought, now he's lost Partey, he has to think about that, how he's going to go. I thought, and we'll touch on this later, I thought Lokonga, although he played deep yesterday, played at 6, he can play higher up. He's our closest to Partey. But that's what I came away as my main point yesterday, thinking, do you know what, Saka hardly has had much rest, doesn't look quite match fit, but he offered more in 17 minutes than Aubameyang did in that position. So that was the striking situation that I was looking at yesterday. And the other area, James, was the high line. Yeah, you wanted to go into this, and obviously we saw Ben White make his debut. I think he was one of the positives that we'll touch on in a bit. Pablo Mari concerns you though. He does. I just don't think Pablo Mari, I know he played, Arteta's been playing this 3-2-5, these 5 lanes up the top, and 3 and a 2 for a long time now. Murray was playing that last season. But we've got Chelsea and Man City coming up in the next few weeks. We might get away with it against Brentford. But you saw how the players are struggling to play that system. I think he should wait till Gabriel comes back. Gabriel and White are good one-on-one defenders who've got recovery speed, who can get across and play the high line and recover. Mari has not got the pace, and he struggled yesterday again. And his error led to the goal. But I just don't think you can play a high line with Mari.
No, I agree. I think I quite like Pablo Mari, but I agree that's been his Achilles heel. It's been his speed, it's been his ability to recover, and maybe a low block suits him a little bit better. Obviously, it's a North London derby. It's a friendly. I didn't know how to feel. You never like it, but I sort of brushed off quite quickly. But there is a big season coming up, and that's what we're obviously here to talk about. This is a season preview, really. 2 players have come in. Well, 3, because obviously Nuno Tavares, but 2 in particular that I think can have a real impact on the first team. And we're actually positives in that North London derby. Let's touch on Ben White. You were very impressed. What is it about Ben White that you think is going to sort of make an instant impact at Arsenal?
I think he improves us in possession and out of possession. I think he's got a lot of qualities that we need. Obviously, Luiz left at the end of last season, so with Luiz leaving, we needed to replace Luiz as a ball-playing centre-back. But he offers us, he's got so many qualities: technical ability, passing range, short and long. He can switch to play. He's one of these centre-backs who can dribble and carry with the ball, and we're going to look at the numbers in a minute. And also, he's very good reader of the game. Interceptions, he's high in his numbers. But I think he knows when to drop off, when to go tight. He's a brilliant reader of the game. and I just think he's a quality centre half, and he is going to improve us as a team, no doubt about it. And
we've got some stats to go. Should we look at him? So you took some sort of per 90 stats here. Looking at Gabriel, you've also compared him to Luiz, which we'll look at in a second. But I think these are really interesting in terms of the stats that maybe sum up the modern centre back and maybe the kind of centre back Arteta's going to love.
Yeah, I think the key stat first of all is the bottom one on the screen there. Forward passing. 40% of his passes go forward. I think only Harry Maguire of centre halves in the Premier League last year sent more balls forward than him from centre half.
Oh wow!
So he's second to Harry Maguire in that, and that's something that we're going to need, because Luiz. The one thing about Luiz is Luiz could play a forward pass, couldn't he? From a standing position, but he can move. He can dribble and then play a pass as well. But his forward passing is impressive, and again passes into the final third, and that's key for me. That's what we're looking for. Passes into the final third. With Rob Holding in the team, it's sort of like safe passing, short. He can sort of like move us, transition us quickly forward, and that's one thing. The other thing with the dribbles and carries, I think in the Premier League stats last year, I think he had most dribbles and carries than any centre half.
Oh wow!
So that he's top of that stat. So he's somebody who. One advantage of that is that when he gets the ball, he sees it, he sizes up the situation, and he can burst past the player and carry it forward, open up space for our forward players. That is an important asset to have. And then on interceptions, I think he's high on interceptions. I think only the Southampton centre-half, Bednarek, has a higher interception rate than him. So he's good on interceptions. He's also good at tackling, and he reads the game really well. So I think he's everything that you want in a centre half, and I think he's going to. He's also very versatile, James.
Yes.
I think that's one final point. He played last year in a Brighton back three on the right side of a three, so he can play right side of a back three. He can play right side of a back four. He can play as a defensive midfielder. He can play on the right side of midfield. He's somebody who's so versatile that he can play in any shape. If Arteta wants to switch to three at the back, he's comfortable there. If he wants to switch to four, if we're playing four at the moment, he's comfortable there, and he can also play in midfield. So he's got a lot of versatility. Yeah,
absolutely. We saw a lot of that. There's kind of what you said about him, his anticipation, very aggressive. We saw that in the Spurs game. I was very impressed by two things. There was one tackle in particular on Son, a lot of headers where you thought, love that. He's getting in front and he's setting the tone for the team, because then we're then getting the ball in the Spurs half and we're going again. I also enjoyed that a lot of people kept saying Spurs keep getting in behind, they keep doing us with a long ball. I said, well, yeah, they are, but actually I was impressed by how quickly Ben White was there to address the situation
and usher people away from
well, there you go. And I think that's what I think Arteta almost won't mind the ball over the top, because as long as he's got White and Gabriel, he can deal with it. I really like these stats, and it is worth looking at David Luiz, who now has moved on, but again, Ben White better for tackles, interceptions, dribbles, pass in the final third. In fairness, Luiz, that was something he was always quite good at. But again, forward passes. So Ben White, I agree. I think that's encouraging. We don't want all the budget to have gone on White. We hope that there's, the midfield, issues need addressing. That there's money to go there. But we did address midfield slightly, maybe a little bit more than we think we have in Albert Sambi-Lokonga. You've been impressed by him?
I have. I was impressed with him. I came up here a couple of weeks ago to see Robbie to talk through about this show, and we watched the game. His 90 against or his start against Watford, and we got the numbers, haven't we?
Let's do it.
Let's do the numbers. This is the thing against Watford. In that game, all pre-season friendly. Watford are Premiership opposition, and he played. Watford played most their second team. I think was second half. I think as always in pre-season friendlies, teams flip around. So it's hard to gauge really what sort of these stats are not against the sort of players you're playing at the top level all the time. But these are really impressive stats. 97% passing completion. He can play a long ball, and that's what I liked about him, that he was sort of like forward thinking in that game. Every time he got the ball, he could take the ball on a half turn and drive into space, and he's always scanning the pitch looking for angles. He knows where his players was, and even yesterday against Tottenham, if you flip to his numbers against Tottenham, basically he was, look at those passes in the Spurs half. He's sitting as a number 6, sitting deep, full, 93%.
And the accuracy,
the accuracy, 93% accuracy, 31 of these 32 passes, 14 into the Spurs half, and again at 93%. But the other thing about him I like is that he's brilliant at tackles and interceptions. Now, last year, captain in Anderlecht, which is at a young age, just shows how good this player is. He had more tackles and interceptions than any Arsenal midfielder last season. He had something like 119 tackles and interceptions. That was over 30 more than our top midfielder. So I think he's the closest to Partey. So when I see him at number 6 yesterday, he is a number 6. But I noticed we played Xhaka more forward yesterday, more aggressively positioned forward, almost like a number 8. I think Xhaka, if they're going to play together, Xhaka should sit at the 6, because then he can flip across and cover the left-hand side and orchestrate from his best position. But Lokonga can tackle and intercept, as those numbers last season. And he could be somebody who, if Arteta's thinking about trying to play higher up and win transitions and get his forwards in broken play, this guy is the nearest we got to Partey. So I've been incredibly impressed in the short time he's been at the club. A young guy, I think we've got a real good talent on our hands.
I'm super excited about him, and we love our stats and we love our analysis, but there's some things that stats don't tell you, and a completed pass is a completed pass, whatever, in whatever way, shape or form it comes. But that little dink to Pepe in the Chelsea game, you know, a stat won't tell you that that's a harder pass than others, for example, and it would just ooze class, didn't it? And he's got that. He's
comfortable on both feet. The one thing I liked yesterday, he played on the right-hand side.
Yes, he was.
But he was receiving on half-turn and flicking the ball out to Tierney on the left. So he's got tremendous ability.
You get little things from players that they don't seem a lot. But I remember one moment where the ball's passed to him. It was a bit of a hospital pass, and I think either Son came to press him, and he opened up his body and he took it the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, that is brilliant.
And that's where he differs from Xhaka, isn't it?
Yeah.
He can take the
and
ball.
He
can take the ball in tight spaces. He's quite mobile. He's got pretty much an all-round game at number 6, but he can play more forward as well. He's comfortable at taking the ball under pressure, turning, looking up, and he's always thinking forward, James. That's his quality.
Agreed. Let's quickly touch on that Xhaka U-turn. Here we go. You always remind us of the clip from 3-4 years ago where you said you think he could be a liability. Now, I'm just going to try and say this. I actually thought he played well against Spurs. I was impressed. I thought he looked good. And in fairness, under Arteta, I've had very little issues with Xhaka, but that wasn't really the reason I wanted to sell him. I just wanted to move on, start of a new era, more dynamism midfield. But I'll give him credit. I thought he was good against Spurs. But does it just show the state of the club right now that a player who we spent months negotiating his sale for is now starting an North London derby?
But I'll tell you what, Arteta's not learning anything tactically from last season.
No, of course.
In playing the 3 across the front like he did yesterday, Aubameyang and Lacazette together in a 3. And Arsenal are not learning anything from their previous business, are they? I mean, Lacazette's into the final year of his deal, and he's on 180k a week, so we can't get rid of him. His wages are too high. Now, Xhaka, who he wanted to move on, he was being courted by Jose Mourinho in the summer. Was almost like talking Italian, wasn't he? He was going. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity for Arsenal to move away from Xhaka, move to a 4-3-3. Arteta wants to play a 4-3-3. And I could see the way we were talking about Xhaka leaving. Even I know Partey wants him to play more forward, but he could play Partey at 6 and then play Smith Rowe. And if we brought in another attacking player like Maddison or Odegaard, they could play at 8, or basically one could play at 10, and Smith Rowe could go out wide, and Lokonga could play at 6, and Partey could play at 8 next to.
I'm completely with you.
You can see the benefits of moving Xhaka on. Xhaka, for me, was brilliant in the Euros. The reason he's brilliant in the Euros is because European football is slower pace. You get more time and space on the ball. In the Premier League, it's frenetic, and he's already proved in the time he's been at Arsenal, he's immobile, and he's a mistake in him, and that's because the game's so quick. And I just think, I'm bored with Xhaka. I wanted Xhaka to go. And I was sort of happy. And to see him to come back, and then the madness of Arsenal to give him... They said, we've got to protect his sell-on value. He's 29 years old. He's on 100k a week. And he was going by the time he was 31. If we give him another extension in his contract and a pay rise, how the hell are we going to sell him in a year's time?
Listen, I agree with you.
So
I think we
madness for me, absolute madness. Now, I'm not doubting that Granit Xhaka is a good footballer,
right?
And I work on same old Arsenal as well with Harry Simmer, who loves Granit Xhaka, and we banter about Xhaka.
Right.
Xhaka has got a good left foot. Next to Partey, he played some of his best football, but to me, I just wanted to move on from Xhaka, and I think our midfield, if we want to play higher up the pitch in the way that Arteta wants to play, Xhaka does not suit that system. He played him yesterday more forward.
Yeah.
And he was okay,
yeah.
But you need better than Xhaka if you're going to get into the top 4.
Listen, I think I echo all that. Let's talk about our opponents.
Yeah.
Brentford, Friday night. Listen, I don't like going to a new promoted team when their stadium's rocking and they're back in the Premier League. And I think this is going to be a very tough test. You've more than done your research on Brentford. We're going to go through it.
Yeah.
Now, when I did my training as a journalist, Brentford were very good to us, and they gave us access to, do match reports and go to press conferences and learn. And so I've got a soft spot for Brentford. I hope we smash them on Friday. But I do have a real soft spot for Brentford. So I've followed them quite closely ever since, and Thomas Frank's a very good manager. I think they've been unlucky for a couple of years now not to have come into the Premier League earlier than they have, and what they have now. They've got some very talented players. I think a lot of them will be moving to top 10 sides and top 6 sides over the next couple of years. And the stats we're going to bring up now and you're going to talk us through sort of back what a good side they are.
I think one thing Robbie asked me to do a couple of weeks ago was to watch Brentford. So
right, yeah. That must have been fun.
So yeah, I've been sort of like watching Brentford matches. I watched the Man United game when they drew 2-2. Baptiste scored an unbelievable goal that night, and a lot of Brentford fans think he's going to be big this season. He looked very good, and he also struck a post when they lost to West Ham. I watched that game,
right.
And I watched the game on Saturday against Valencia when they came from behind to win 2-1 with a heady goal by Pinnock and a goal from their new signing Frank Onyeka. I see parallels between Brentford and Arsenal, the way they play, and some of the personnel fit, the same as Arsenal. Now, last season, you touched on it there, they finished 3rd, right? And I think what they did last season, James, was they played a 4-3-3 for most of the season. They were more attacking in a 4-3-3. But then they had injuries towards the back end of the season, which meant he then had to change to a back 3. And he took that into the playoff final against Swansea. They start this season in the pre-season friendlies in a back 4 again, but they've now gone to a back 3. They've made 2 brilliant signings, I think we're going to talk about in a minute, and I think they'll play a back 3 against us on Friday night. Now, last season, obviously, they finished 3rd on 87 points, which was 10 points behind Norwich and 7 ahead of Swansea. Last year, they had most goals in the Championship, highest XG, 82.14, and they were 2nd on shots at goal. And they scored quite a lot of goals from counter-attacks. Counter-attack is one of their strengths. Now, when I watched them in their games this season, I've noticed that they pressed very aggressively.
Right.
So the press is led from the front. He has his 4 midfielders as well pressing. Well,
should we get it up and have a little look? Here it is. Yeah, this is your predicted Brentford 11.
Team. This is what I think that they're going to play. And of course, this is just what I think they'll play. They bought this this centre back who played 5 years at Celtic. He's a Norwegian, 23 years old. He's 6'4". He's almost like their version of Ben White in that he's so comfortable on the ball, and also what they do is quite cleverly is that he can move out to the right, and Canos, who plays at the right wing back, he can move inside.
So something like this, we're saying so Canos will come inside.
And he can go out on Saturday against Valencia. He was overlapping and getting in crosses from that right-hand side. He was pushing up the pitch, Canos was coming in. So they've got these 3 centre-halves, which is Christopher Ayer, Janssen the Swede, who's the captain, and Pinnock, who scored a headed goal. That's their 3 centre-halves. Raya is a goalkeeper, I believe he was at Blackburn.
I believe we really wanted him.
Yeah. And then they play these wing-backs, right, which is Canos on the right, Henry on the left, who was the best player in that position in the Championship last year, and he was very good on Saturday, pushing up from the left-hand side. And then they play in midfield Norgard and Janot. Janot is like a pressing machine.
Yeah.
He's their German. he's an outstanding midfield player. They have got Jensen out injured. Norgard played for Denmark and got to the semi-final of the Euros along with Jensen, and he got injured in those Euros. So that they're like their two DMs or
the engine room of the team.
The engine room of the team. And then you've got this guy, Frank Onyeka,
right,
who they signed from Midtjylland in Denmark. They called him Frank the Tank. He's almost like a party. He's basically somebody who's going to be somebody, and this is what worries me. I've got to be honest with you. Arsenal play out from the back, and this guy is going to be pressing up high, and he's physically strong. He scored with a brilliant shot on Saturday, and so I think they'll press up high, try and nick the ball off us in turnovers and try and score that way. And then they've got the other way they play is Mbeumo on the right hand side. He's left-footed like Pepe, but they try and get him isolate him one-on-one with a defender, and he plays off Tony. Tony is their goal scorer, their penalty box predator, 33 goals last year. He's got a slight neck injury at the moment, but they tell me he's going to be fit for Friday. He'll be leading the line. And I think the only weakness I see, well, there are weaknesses, I think they press high. I think he's abandoning 3 at the top now because he wants a more structured, solid foundation. They'll defend in a 5 and try and play on the counter, I think, and create overloads to get their players one-on-one in attacking situations. And Tony is obviously the one who's going to be the main goal scorer. I think their weakness is, what I saw on Saturday, is that the Canos is not really a fullback, hasn't got like a fullback's mentality. Him and are trying to sort of he's new into the team, so they might not have that understanding. I think if we can play round their press, there'll be plenty of gaps between their midfield and defence, and we could get our attacking players in the spaces. That would be where I think. But the other thing I think we need to be concerned about, their 3 centre-halves are like beasts. Right. And from corners, they are, with Tony as well, set plays, they're going to be dangerous. And I think Norgard's
not short either.
No, there's plenty of height in the team.
There really is.
So
if pre-season's anything to go off.
So I would say that they're going to play a back 3 against us, but he can move to a back 4. So there's flexibility in the team. They're a pressing team, but I think they're going to sort of not be as open as they were last year because they're in the Premier League now. Yeah. And to be honest, playing Brentford first game, I'm a bit worried about it. We don't know what to expect.
I'm worried about it. Now let's give everyone here who's watching the Tactical Insight Show a Graham exclusive. Your 11 to face Brentford. We spoke about this, obviously I prepped this off camera. I was very fascinated by it. Talk us through it, if I can just find it. Here it is.
Right, yeah. So, this is what my 11 would be, not what Arteta might pick. So, I'm, at the moment, my first decision I had to make was, do I play Aubameyang on the left, or do I bring back Saka, who's probably only not really got a lot of minutes under his belt? And do you know what? I just think I'm going with Saka on that left-hand side. I just don't want to see Aubameyang on the left-hand side. So I'm playing Saka on the left-hand side, Pepe on the right. And I think Smith Rowe, and another reason for playing Lacazette, I think last season I thought Smith Rowe combined well with Lacazette.
Yeah, he did.
So, and I want Lacazette more in the box. And this gives us more, what I say, balance to the team. Aubameyang is not a winger. Saka can play there and combine. Smith Rowe can drift across the front, but he combined well with Pepe yesterday on the right, but he can also float across the left. Lacazette can hold the play, but I want Lacazette in the box. Yes. And I want us to be creating these are more, what I would say, players who can sort of create more in my mind. Saka offers us that bit of extra creativity. I would rather Xhaka sat and Lokonga play more further forward in the Partey role. So when Tierney comes up on the left-hand side, I want Xhaka to switch across to the left, and then Lokonga there in the middle. So what I think will happen, how he plays it, is he likes to play these five almost like 5 lanes, doesn't he? Yeah. So he wants to squeeze the pitch up high, which is a bit of a worry at the moment, the way with Murray in defence. But how we're going to be then? Ultimately, you've got your 5 at the top there, and I think what'll happen is that Chambers will come inside. White will then come out to the right, as you've shown, and then you've got Mari, and that's the back 3 in build-up. Chambers in the middle there with Lokonga, and there's your 5 attackers, your 5 lanes of attack. Yeah. With Tierney on the left, but also Chambers occasionally. If Tierney stays back, Chambers can come out right on the right-hand side and maybe flip a cross in, and then obviously Xhaka can move forward. So it's flexibility there, but I just think for balance, I think we need to move away from Aubameyang on that left-hand side now.
Yeah.
And the only way, unless he's going to move to a 4-4-2, which he won't, or a 3-5-2, which he won't, Lacazette and Aubameyang, the only way they can play together if they're close together in a 2. And he hasn't shown any inclination to do that. But that's my Arsenal 11 that I would play for the opening game. No Partey, of course, who would play. No Gabriel, who would play. And I'm rushing Saka back on the evidence of what I've seen from Aubameyang pre-season, James.
Yeah, I've got to say, that's my 11 too. I'd love Martinez to be available. I'd love us to have.
Congratulations to him by winning the Olympics.
Oh yeah, actually you're right. Big congratulations.
Tottenham will do a video on that if one of their players.
Let's get those digs in, right? Because we need to.
We need to compliment Tottenham actually, James, don't we?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. For anyone who didn't see, I'm sure you all did, but the Spurs fans did give a massive round of applause to Bukayo Saka when he came onto the pitch. We also saw the banner they had out, basically saying that we're united in the fight against racism. Yeah. The club said it as well. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah. So big credit to Tottenham for that. But listen, I hope we have Saka back in that team. I agree. I think we need him. The balance is right with him in there. Graham, this has been great. You know, we're back talking tactics. I can't believe it's happened so quickly. Just with the season, feels like it just ended. And Arsenal are going to put us through it again for the next 38 Premier League
doesn't
games.
look like much change at the moment. I think his minimum, we talked about what his minimum requirement is.
Yeah. What are you going for?
That we're not going to touch the top 4.
Okay.
Really? We can write the top 4 off. Straight away, write the top 4 off.
Okay.
Man City, if they get Kane and Lukaku goes to Chelsea, he's gone to Chelsea, they'll be contesting the title. And then you've got Man United with their signing Varane and Sancho, they'll be up there. And then I think Liverpool, although they haven't signed,
good side still.
Any players are still a good side.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think minimum requirement for Arteta, 5th place, and to be challenging, at least challenging for the top 4, James.
Yeah, fair enough. Listen, I think I have to echo that. Guys, we're going to be here for the Tactical Insight Show every single Monday. That's right, every Monday we're going to be doing this. We'll be looking back at the weekend's actions. We don't have midweek stuff anymore now, thanks to Arsenal. But we will be. We're going to be following Arsenal very closely from a tactical perspective because Arteta always likes to tweak and change things around. But we do think there's a basic formula there that he is going to take throughout the season. Let's just hope he gets the players to do it because I don't think he's far off getting it right, despite everything we've said. But you can tell that we're missing some key players.
You need a backup goalkeeper, a right back, I would say, an attacking mid, and even, I think, another midfield player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And some are saying a striker. Let's see what we're left with. Guys, thank you so much for watching the Tactical Insight Show. We'll be back next week.